Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider a like, subscribe, maybe that cheeky notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Cartographer Fun 1535 and says, "My fiance, 37 male, made me, 26 female, get plastic surgery just to get engaged. Now I want to call off the wedding. I, 26 female, have been engaged to my fiance, 37 male, for 6 months now, and we're getting married next spring. Our relationship has not been easy, and we dated for 2 years before getting engaged, and he broke up with me once in between for 5 months. Right now, I am so conflicted. There was a time I was so eager to be engaged to him, and now I'm lost. First off, I kind of had to give him an ultimatum to get engaged, to which he responded he has not proposed all this time because of something in my looks that he's not attracted to. He asked me to get a specific plastic surgery to correct this issue and that he would pay for it. And only then he's willing to get engaged. So I went ahead and got the surgery." OP added a clown emoji afterwards and says, "Anyways, we get engaged and I can still tell he's not attracted to me because the surgery didn't really make a big difference. Doesn't compliment me, doesn't really touch me or initiate things with me. He doesn't complain or bash my looks, but doesn't rave about it either. But this isn't the worst of it. I'm currently in grad school and he works full time and makes over 500k a year. He is paying for the wedding and has rubbed it in my face on 2 occasions how I contribute nothing. And that I basically never have the right to complain about anything ever because he works so hard to pay for things. I complained once that I don't feel we spend enough quality time. I don't know if I'm making a huge mistake getting married to him. I don't want to be miserable. I'm so anxious. I don't feel like he loves me. He pushes me away when he's having a bad day and doesn't talk to me. I just feel kind of neglected in the relationship, but I also don't want to be a victim and consider maybe he's right about some things. Breaking an engagement off is so embarrassing, and this would be his second broken engagement, and I don't want to do that to him. I just feel really lost. How do I go about this?" OP adds an edit after the post and says, "Thank you all for the responses, even the mean ones that I needed to hear. The surgery I got was liposuction of my legs, thighs to ankles. I've always carried weight in my lower body." He says financially successful men don't like thick women and goes on to list all the successful men he knows and uses their women as a reference. I figured he was right about this and got the surgery, and I'm still trying to lose weight because the lipo didn't make a huge difference. Also, to those that ask what good qualities he has, I initially thought he was very kind, helps the poor and goes on medical mission trips. He's a doctor. He's funny and we get along really well when things are good. And I love his parents so much and I really feel for them. They're older and want grandkids and want to see their son married. I don't think they realize how mean he can be. I'm not going to pretend his money is not appealing. I didn't grow up with a lot of money and watch my parents struggle as immigrants. I always wanted to make sure my kids will grow up in a financially stable environment. It's not really gold digging because I'm not a materialistic person. I don't care for expensive things. I just don't want to struggle like my parents did. For those who think I can get a prenup or divorce, our culture and community is very strict. I probably should have mentioned we are Middle Eastern, not Muslims. We don't get divorced. It's not an option in our church. He ended his first engagement, not her. He said she became too obsessed with the wedding planning and felt like a different personality of her had come out after she secured the ring." OP adds a little response to the comments before the update and says, "I want to clarify that no, this is not a fake post. This is my first ever Reddit post. I felt compelled to get some outside perspective because I don't confide in anyone in my personal life. No one knows I got this surgery. I'm glad I did post this and I really appreciate everyone's feedback. I know what I need to do, but it's not easy. I will update in a few weeks," which we have in a moment. Now, there's loads of things that jumped out to me. It's red flags all over, right? But you saying that you don't want to do this to him, you don't want to break it off because he's had a previous, broken engagement. This is on him, not on you. And for me, from what I've read in this story, I would take how his first engagement ended with a pinch of salt, really. As I say, I know it's always easy for me to say, but this relationship should have ended soon as he gave you that condition of plastic surgery to get engaged. The dude is just fucking disgusting, but Love of Legacy says in quotes, "I don't know if I'm making a huge mistake," and then continues and says, "Girl, you should have left as soon as you put a condition of plastic surgery on your engagement. This man does not love you. You need to leave and marry someone who does." Ray replies to that and says, "He's trying to fix you to his liking. It's not working. He's trying to rub money in your face. It's not working. He's trying to explain you're not enough for him. It's the only thing working. What other parts of the relationship are working? The one where you'll both need a divorce attorney." Another commenter says, "Girl, he is controlling and it will only get worse. Run for the hills and you can do better. There is a reason his first engagement didn't work. The tea leaves are telling you to leave. This isn't embarrassing. This is saving yourself." Which Moist Confusion says, "Know what would be even more embarrassing? Marrying this guy. Sorry OP, but the embarrassment of breaking off an engagement is a million times more preferable to getting married in 6 months, a year, 10 years down the line, having to divorce him after going through even more humiliation and beating down your self-confidence and self-worth. This isn't going to end well either way, but at least leaving now, you can have the rest of your life ahead of you versus wasting time with someone who doesn't love you." And thinking about the potential of having kids and stuff as well is even more concerning. Adios quotes the breaking off the second engagement and says, "Lol, oh wow, this is the saddest statement and total betrayal to your own self-worth. You need to get the fuck out of Dodge. He made you get plastic friggin' surgery before he agreed to marry you. It makes you feel guilty for being in school and not earning or contributing as much as him. Guess what? When he was your age, he was probably in school too. He's a fucking arsehole, an absolute loser. His last fiancée figured out and saved herself the trouble of wasting more years of her life with him and a messy divorce fees. I really hope you do the same." And one more comment, it's a bit of a long one, so feel free to skip over it if you want to, but I thought it was a really great message and one that was highly upvoted as well. From Chrissy, who says, "I'm so sorry that you've been going through all this. What a nightmare. One thing is very clear to me, he does not love you. He keeps you around for some reason, though I cannot fathom what. There are people like that, people who don't love their boyfriends and girlfriends, but also do not allow them to leave. If I had to guess, I'd say that he's a control freak that just enjoys having someone to boss around. Maybe he actually enjoys making you miserable. It's a way for him to get revenge on his parents or someone else who wronged him. This is all just speculation, but I've seen enough such cases to be confident that's a possibility. Of course, you know more about him than I do, so you can confirm or deny it. That being said, for him to make a requirement for you to get some kind of cosmetic surgery, or even just corrective surgery for that matter, so he would consent to marrying you, is the absolute most disgusting thing I've ever heard a man say to a woman. I cannot imagine how much it must have hurt you to hear how he disdained your body for whatever you had, and then after convincing you to get under the scalpel, was still not satisfied. And then of course the guilt tripping. He makes more money than you, he pays for the wedding, and therefore he says you're supposed to tolerate everything he says and does to you. Last but not least, you two were broken up for 5 months before, and you broke off the engagement once already. That's a clear sign the relationship is not stable and that a marriage would inevitably end in divorce. Look at all these facts and ask yourself this question. Would you ever be happy by this man's side? Your anxiety regarding the wedding is telling you that no, you wouldn't. Deep down, you know that this wedding is not meant to happen. That is the biggest mistake you could possibly make in your life. But you are scared. You're scared of many things. You're scared of what will happen if you call the wedding off. You're scared of how he will react, what he will do. You're scared of what other people will say. You're scared of being judged and meanly talked to. I can understand those fears. I once had to call off a wedding when I was just 2 years younger than you, and it was difficult. I'm not going to lie. But once I did finally break up and go no contact, I experienced such an immense relief that I honestly felt like I'd been resurrected from the dead. It was an absolute miserable relationship that I was in, just like you are now. And just like me, when you do call off the wedding and break with him, your anxiety will just evaporate. I'm sure you're afraid of the pain of loneliness that will beset you once you've broken up with him and gone no contact. Yes, you will feel that pain, but it won't last forever. You'll become whole again eventually. It's a matter of time. What's more important is that you'll be free to search for a man who actually deserves your willingness to commit and compromise. This one doesn't. And I guarantee you that you can and will find him if you use this experience to learn what red flags to look out for. I eventually found my wife and we've been happily married for over 6 years. Take courage. Break up with your boyfriend. The sooner the better. Go no contact as soon as you can. Spend the next few months seeking out people who can give you the emotional support you will need so you don't feel completely alone. And you are ready. You can move on and search for a man who deserves to be called thus. Godspeed. So OP does come back in to update the post and says, "Hello everyone. I did not think I would post the update so soon, but here it is. We broke up today, 48 hours after my initial post and 1,000 plus people begging me not to get married. The wedding is off. This is how it went. He picked me up because we had our engagement photo shoot today. He's been depressed for over a month now over a real estate lawsuit that he started. He has already been putting me on the back burner because of this lawsuit and gives me zero attention. Acts like I'm just an added stressor in his life. So I'm already fed up with a mopey attitude. He starts going off about how he's not in the mood to take pics today and it's hard for him to smile. How drained and unhappy he feels over the house. I literally exploded. With everything that's happened, I couldn't take it anymore. I told him I've never met such a literal man-child in my life. For him to break down over a lawsuit he started. He's not fit to ever be the man, the sole provider of a family, to face real troubles of life. He's never had any real issues in his life. He's a literal man-child. I told him he never acknowledged how insane it is that I went and got surgery just for him to find me more attractive. He never recognized the care and sacrifices I've made for him. I did take ownership for letting this relationship drag out as far as an engagement, after he showed me time after time how unfit he is to be our life partner. It is my fault. I ignored the red flags and kept having hope he would change one day. Maybe if I brought him a child, he would start to appreciate me more. Maybe seeing me as a mother, he would start to love me. I'm so glad it didn't last long enough to find out. We didn't make it to the shoot, obviously. He ended up driving me back home. Sadly, we wasted the poor photographer's time. His reaction throughout all of this was very minimal. So cold. He would look down and look sad, but it looked like he was pretending. He said he was sorry and he thought that I deserved better than him. He said his emotional battery had run out. This was the end of it. I gave him the ring back and told him we're never speaking again. I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. I read every single one. I can't express how much it helped me finally come to this decision today. You guys actually saved my life. I'm not even sad. I'm so relieved. I feel lighter. Thank you all so much. I'm always happy for OPs when they make this decision. I know it's not going to be easy for a little while for them, but I'm glad that they get themselves out of the situation. A part of me always feels sad though, that they've been treated this badly. Their self-esteem has dropped so low that they think it's acceptable for their partner to treat them that way. I always find that incredibly sad at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I think it's awesome that OP is out of that situation again. And they did stand up for themselves and they did say what they was really feeling. I think that's great. But it always gets me a little bit sad at the same time. But I really do wish OP all the best. Sound like a wonderful person. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Child Free Wedding Son and says, Am I the arsehole for refusing to have a fully child-free wedding? So, I recently proposed to my long-term girlfriend and we're planning for a wedding in summer next year. Everything is still very early stages. My fiance has expressed that she wants a child-free wedding, which I am all down for, but I want to make one exception. My son, 15 male. I had him from a previous relationship and we have evenly split custody of him. Until now, my fiance has gotten along great with him. We've had days out as a family. She's gone to see his games, he plays ice hockey, and she even takes him out on fun days, just the two of them. I brought up that I wanted to make an exception to the no kids rule for my son. She shot the idea down straight away and said that she didn't want anyone under 16 there, as she doesn't want to feel like she or anyone else has to babysit on a special day. That sounds sussy in itself, doesn't it? I told her that no one would have to babysit him. He's 15 and she knows he's well behaved and a generally quiet kid. She then changed her reasoning and asked why I wanted my old family and life on the day I was supposed to be making a commitment to her and our new family. I told her, while I will be making a commitment to her, my son will still be very much my son and my family. She then equated it to wanting an ex at our wedding, which I do not and never asked. I told her that I don't care about the aesthetics of the wedding and that she can pick everything else, the food, the aesthetic, the music, the dress, but all I want is my family at the wedding, my parents, my sisters and my son. That is my only ultimatum when it comes to our wedding. She started calling me controlling by giving me an ultimatum and said I'd initially agreed to a child-free wedding and now I'm gaslighting her. I said we can have a mainly child-free wedding, but with this one exception. An exception that guests can't even complain about being unfair since the only child is the son of the groom. She called me a dick and is now not talking to me. I really think this is a reasonable one, but maybe I'm not seeing something. So, am I the arsehole? Now, her words in this would totally make me second guess the whole thing. You know, I said it was sussy at the start. You think we've seen a lot of stories where they don't want anything to do with previous relationships in your life, and she can pretty much confirmed it and said, I was supposed to be making a commitment to her and our new family. Like she thinks once you're married, that's it, you're going to start either cutting down time or maybe even cut off your son, which just seemed like bizarre logic. It seemed like it was going down that path. That your son is a part of, you know, your old sort of life, and now you're getting a new one because you're marrying, you're starting afresh. And in my mind, this would have me considering how she's going to treat him. How is she treated him up until this point? I would seriously be talking to your son about his previous interactions with her, and is there anything that's popped up in the way that she's treated him? But Euthanasia says, wow, she doesn't want your own child to come to your own wedding. Not a crying baby or two, or a terrible two, but a 15-year-old, a kid that will be old enough to drive next year when the wedding is. If this goes on as she wants, do you think your kid won't remember? Yeah, I'm sorry, bud, this is all kinds of evil stepmother red flags. The whole thing about you making a new commitment to her and her family, and equating having your son there to having your ex-wife there. Dude, get out now while you just have to eat the non-refundable deposits for the wedding. Save yourself and your kid a world of hurt. You would be the arsehole if you marry this woman. Edit to add, you have never had a fight like this before because up to this point, she's been putting on a show. But now she is comfortable enough in the relationship to show you who she really is. OK Stater says not the arsehole, even at child-free weddings there are reasonable exceptions. And a child and a bride and or groom are very reasonable exceptions. Of course, if the child is of a very young age, it could be unfair on the guests if the kid gets free run to disrupt the wedding whilst older behaved children aren't invited from the basis of being distractions. And given he's 15 now and the wedding is next summer, surely by then it will only be at most a few months shy of her cutoff. Since you say she's a long-term girlfriend, I presume that fiancé has known your child some time, and now you propose, so I'm presuming she's not excluded him before. But now, and quotes, she then changed her reasoning and asked why I wanted my old family and life on the day I was supposed to be making a commitment to her and our new family. It says, wow. So what, is she expecting the boy to no longer be a part of your life the moment you say I do? Because that revised reason for excluding him from the wedding screams that she's already mentally excluding him from your life. But let's pretend she didn't suggest your son was simply part of your old life. Let me ask you a few questions here. Exactly how old will your son be at the time of the wedding? Who chose the wedding date? Was it a mutual decision or picked by one of you then simply agreed by the other? Why is the cutoff 16, not 18? Is a 16-year-old cutoff allowing a teenage guest of her own to attend? Imaginary Labyrinth says don't go through with this wedding. Your fiancé is being controlling, gaslighting you, and showing you exactly how she would behave if you were married. She doesn't want your son in the picture and will do everything she can to ruin what relationship you have with him. She equates him being at your wedding to your ex being there. Your son equals your ex to her, and you will end up wondering why you're in a miserable marriage and never see your son anymore. Not the arsehole. She's the arsehole. And one more comment from Riva Dare who says, not the arsehole, and quotes, she then changed her reasoning and asked why I wanted my old family and life on the day I was supposed to be making a commitment to her and our new family. It goes on to say, OP, your fiancé just showed her hand. She considers your son part of your old life and your old family. That little slip up may very well mean she's only tolerating your son and will start trying to push him aside once you are married. Not to mention favouring any children you have with her over him. Absolutely. I would think very carefully about whether this woman you want to marry or not after her ultimatum. I always find it like real bizarre that people do this kind of thing, that they only reveal who they are once it's like engaged or married or some sort of event like that, you know. Because I always think of what goes through their head in terms of endgame. You think, you know, a lot of people do struggle with making the decision of breaking up and splitting up, which might be what they are thinking, that, you know, they committed too much, so they're not going to break up with me once I start doing this. But you reveal something like this, that you don't want the son to be a part of your life, and you must think, fucking hell. And you must think, like, what is my partner going to think once I start doing that? I find it just real weird. But anyway, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.